Okay, this is now the 5 minute tarot for the 15th of March 2017. And today I'd like to give you a few ideas, make a few points about the Knight of Wands. I picked this card at random. Okay, so if you look at the picture, we've got this knight on horseback, and the front legs of the horse are up in the air. And I think either he's come to an abrupt halt and by the knight pulling on the reins, and that apparently stops a horse, or else the horse is rearing up, ready to move fast in a forward direction. So it looks like with the Knight of Batons, even though the horse is standing still, it looks like it's ready to move fast, or the speed involved with this particular card. So if you need speed and quickness, you're going to be happy if this card comes up. And that's something to remember, that a card might indicate speed and quickness, and we can think that's a good thing. But it really depends on the question. So if you want speed and quickness, then you'll be happy with the Knight of Batons. If you want slow, patient, deliberate thought and action, then the Knight of Batons is not what you want, right? Because it's a contradiction, or it's going to result in something happening too fast or without enough thought. So again, this is one of the reasons that I mention now and again that it's not so much what a card means, it's more what sense does it make in the answer to the question that was asked. And that's another reason why we really need to know what the question is that we're answering if we're going to figure out what a card indicates. Because, things in themselves are probably not good or bad, but it really depends what use we make of them or what we can get out of them. So a difficult situation can teach you something, so it ends up being good. And a good situation, an easy situation, can end up being bad if it makes you lazy or means that you don't make any effort, and so you don't get much out of the experience. Okay, so we've got the idea of speed and quickness, which I think is shown in the picture. Whether it's good or bad, that's another question. Also, if it's a knight, and what are knights? If you think, I can't help but think of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, right? So there's a round table and there's knights. So the knights around the table are not the king, but the knights are given special tasks, or they've got special responsibilities or responsibilities in certain areas, and they're supposed to do a good job. And that can be an important idea or element connected with the Knight of Batons, that there's responsibility as well, and there's the idea that you do things thoroughly and do things properly and do things well. You do a good job with the Knight of Batons and with any of the knights. But here, Batons, it's the Knight of Batons, not the Knight of Cups or swords or coins. So if we think we've got the idea of doing a good job or doing and having special responsibility in a particular area of life, in this case represented by batons, right? So what do we do with batons? Batons we can say they represent energy and enthusiasm. So maybe with the Knight of Batons, a simple statement would be, if you're represented by the Knight of Batons, you're supposed to make things grow, right? We've got energy and growth and enthusiasm and desire to live and to express. And that's the message of the Knight of Batons, or that's the activity or the action of the person represented by the Knight of Batons. And it could be you, the questioner, or it could be somebody else, or it could be that making things grow and expressing good ideas or expressing oneself is the nature of the situation that the person's involved in. Right, because the knight can be you, or it can be the questioner, or somebody else, or a situation or condition. The other thing is, one last point I make is knights, I was taught, knights are messengers. So they bring news, And here with the Knight of Batons, it looks like good news, right? So if you need words of encouragement from somebody, you're going to get them. If you have doubts and think you're not going to be able to manage it, you're going to discover, if the Knight of Batons is in the future, that your mood is going to change. You're going to have confidence you didn't think you had at that moment, but you'll have it later, either because you just understand it or you realize it, or because somebody else says or does something that removes the darkness that maybe you're in at the moment, depending on what the card is for the present. So with the Knight of Batons, you've got good news and you've got ideas of growth and expansion. And also he's in a desert, and greenery doesn't generally grow in the desert. So we might then think that the Knight of Batons, when the Knight of Batons comes up, it's not about staying put. You think of desert dwellers, nomads who move around all the time. And they put down roots for a bit, but then they move on quickly. So with the Knight of Batons, it's not about putting down roots and staying in the same place. It's more about moving to where things are possible, or things are reasonable and workable for a short period of time. Right, so if you want to know, if it's to do with somebody's marriage, how is it going to go? You probably have to be flexible and recognize that for the moment, or let's say it's the card for the future, that there's going to be a need to change and to be flexible and recognize that it's what's going on in the future is part of a longer future. Okay, that's it for the moment. I'm not sure what I'll do tomorrow.